Welcome back to another video from ABC Racing. Today we're going to be doing the challenge German Fury. It's in the BMW M3 E92 Drift car around Autodromo Magione. Picking it up as we come through the last corner, you can see we've got a good exit out of that corner. We're gaining our delta on our previous best lap all the way through. This is our fastest lap at this point. Braking just after the 100-meter board, down into second, try and keep it tight to the apex and get a good exit out of the corner. I've turned in a little bit too sharp there and ended up losing a bit of time. But going into turn 2 now, we need to look for a breaker point, which is just as we go under the Assetto Corsa advertising board. Back down to second and make sure you get a good entry into the corner, take an early apex and use all the curb in the exit. The ambulance is your braking point. Get into second for these next corners. Keep it to the left and then you want to kiss the sausage curb as a late apex and that next right hand bend. Brake at the edge of the curb in, then flick it in for the right hander, kiss the sausage curb and use all the exit curbing. On the back straight now, just concentrate on your gear shifts. You need to minimise the time of the clutch and get up through the gears smoothly. Wait until the revs are almost at the peak before you change gear into fifth. Brake at 100-meter marker, down into third, take an early apex, run wide using all the exit curbing, then take another early apex, use the exit curbing again, down into second, get another early apex. Stay to the right as much as possible, keep it in second, flick it in for the left hander, use as much entry curbing as you can, using as much curb as possible for these next corners, opening the steering as much as possible, stop the oversteering, then you need to get on the exit curb, straighten the car up, get through the gear smoothly and over the line. Gold achievement. So the setup for this challenge, gears obviously you can't change anything, tyres make sure they're in semi-slicks and then put the tyre pressures to 25 all round. I put 6 litres of fuel which gives you 6 laps, left the electronics as they were. The alignment I had -3, -3, 7, 7, -3.1, 3.1, 4 and 4. Dampers I didn't change and generic I didn't change. Right, let's just have a look at track Titan here now and see where I can improve my lap. So you can see from my reference lap that I'm just under a second quicker than the track Titan official reference lap. So segment 1 is where I'm losing the time. So let's have a look at that in detail here. You can see I'm approaching the corner slightly faster. That tails off earlier, goes down lower. Although I get better speed midway through the corner, I lose it on the exit again. So the difference to reference, I lose 4 tenths. I gain that back near enough and I lose it on the exit again. So it says the focus zones at the beginning. So seeing a couple of things at the beginning and obviously I'm losing time on the exit. So I'd say the focus zone is all the way through that corner. But obviously let's look at why it's saying the beginning. So understeering is saying I'm understeering early into the corner, which is probably going to be a lockup, and I slightly understeer while I'm turning at the initial part. So I'm guessing that I've locked up here. So let's click into braking and find out. Right, so I apply a tiny bit of brake pressure early, or earlier than the reference lap. And then I go to full brake later than them. So I'm not going to be slowing the car down fast enough there. And I've kept the brake longer and then come off sharply before them. So that braking curve isn't really good there. At the start, there's no need for 20% pressure. So I don't know what happened there. Should have been full up like the reference lap. And then come off smoother to about 50% like they have. And down. And I've just locked up And that's pretty much what's caused the problems in this beginning of this part of this corner. Later on, what happened was, you can see from the racing line, I'm tighter to the late apex than the reference lap. But I hit the inside curb, if you remember, and that's pushed me out wide, and I've come off the throttle again. So let's go to the throttle trace. Come off earlier on the accelerator. I get on earlier because I'm running wider. I can get on earlier to come back through. Because if you are, like, that's like almost an overtake line where you'd come back in tight. But because I come in too tight and hit that curb, I've ended up then going back off the accelerator and running wide and losing the advantage again. Okay, so there was one other segment we lost time in. Let's have a look at that one. It was only a fraction of a second, but they all count. So let's see what we can learn. So go into analyze segment 4. So segment 4 was the end of the corner, which is turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the end of turn 5, or in turn 5, and the back straight. Looking at this, we're a bit faster during the corner, but we lose speed on the exit. And then every gear shift, we're losing a fraction of time or speed as well compared to the reference lap. And we're doing all the upshifts earlier, especially 5, which is really early. So effectively, that's where I've lost the time there, is upshifting slightly too early. We were up through the corner, and then we've lost it on every gear shift then. Only a little bit, but that's all we lost through that segment. So upshifting early, obviously we know is bad, but that's what's cost the time. Braking, we're not learning anything there. Understeering, oh, you can see I slightly understeered, which I did have a higher speed than the reference lap. So I understeered, and that wouldn't have helped either down the back straight. It's only a fraction, and I come out there pretty much the same. It's mainly just the gear shifts. I hope you've enjoyed looking at that. I found that useful, because I wouldn't have thought of looking at my upshifts. I'm usually quite spot on with them. So hopefully you found that useful and something to consider when you look at your telemetry as well. So I quite enjoyed doing this challenge. It was one that I've revisited because apparently at some point I've got a bronze on it. So I was quite surprised that it only took me 15 laps to get the gold. I thought the car was quite nice to drive. However, it does like to oversteer quite a lot. It's a powerful car to drive as well. It's got 400 brake horsepower, well 414 to be exact, 400 Newton meters of torque, which it delivers over quite a wide band. But you do want to keep the revs over 4,000 to make sure the engine's delivering the maximum power at all times and you're getting the most out of the engine. The Majoni circuit is one I haven't done that much of. In fact, I can't remember the last time I did do the Majoni circuit. It's quite nice, but it is one of the ones that if you've been playing Assetto Corsa, it's one of the tracks that you will have played and you probably be familiar with. I think it's the very first track you actually load up on the game, but that was years ago for me, so I can't be 100% on that. It does lack a little bit of character though. There's no real camber or anything like that in the corners. There's no elevation changes either, so it's a bit bland. Sorry to those who like that circuit, but it's not one of my favourites. I think having used the telemetry on other videos in the past, it has helped me even with this car and this track that I haven't used. So big shout out to you guys who have been watching my videos, because I'm hoping you've been learning as well.